There are large apartment complexes along the riverside in Osaka, and for some reason they have a zigzag and interesting design. And the lower floors of these large apartment complexes are said by local residents to look just like a haunted house. Apparently there are commercial facilities there. This time I'll be covering the Evergreen River apartment complex and the commercial facility Everale in more detail than anywhere else. Hello everyone, I'm Daishin Daimatsu, traveling around and visiting various rundown commercial facilities and places. This time I've come to Awaji Station on the Hankyu Railway, located in Higashiyodogawa Ward, Osaka City, Osaka Prefecture. Awaji Station is more famous as a transfer station than for the town itself. The Hankyu Senri Line and the Hankyu Kyoto Line both run through here. Elevated railway construction is underway and it will be elevated by 2030. According to the plan, when you exit the ticket gate, there is a shopping street and it seems to be fairly lively. Although it's small in scale, it's there. No, it's a downtown area. I exited from the east exit, but the west exit feels more like a downtown area. This time, I'm heading to Evergreen River, also known as Everale. The location of Hankyu Awaji Station is here. It takes about 15 minutes to walk from the station. The weather isn't great, so I'm not really feeling it, but since it's work, I'll walk. There are a few things I'd like to introduce on the way to the destination, so I'll share them with you. In the past, this area was a piece of land surrounded by the Kanzaki River, basically an island in the river known as Nakasu. It was that kind of place, so Mishizanehara apparently mistook it for Awaji Island and landed here. There's a story that the name Awaji came from this episode, and when I was researching Awaji for this video, I kept getting information about Awaji Island, so I got annoyed at Michizanehara for making that mistake. Well, there's also a place called Hara next door. There's even Hara Tenmangu Shrine, so that's how much the name Hara remains. It's a region that's heavily influenced by imitation, so you can't take it lightly. If you go one street in from the station, it becomes a residential area. There are some new houses, but the old townscape also remains, which is really nice. There's something about the layout of this residential area that I'm curious about. You'd think they could just lay the roads out in a straight line, but if you look at the map, they're all winding and twisting. It's hard to tell where you're walking. I really have no idea where I am anymore, but even when I looked at old maps, it didn't seem like there was anything special in this area, so I couldn't really figure it out. If anyone knows, please let me know. Evergreen. The river is Kanegafuchi, also known as Kanabos Nakajima. I stood at the site of the former factory. It was a huge factory. It seems that many people working at the jewelry factory lived in the area, so perhaps there was something related to the factory around the residential area as well. When you pass through the residential area, there's Elion Life, and Seria has also moved in together. It's a commercial facility that opened in 2015. There's a facility here that dealt a fatal blow to the dying Everale. I'll introduce this facility again later. We're still walking a bit more. It's raining a little and it's cold. Suddenly, but these days everyone's talking about cost cutting. I've been going with the flow too, and I used to always ask for channel subscriptions and likes at the beginning. To cut costs, starting with this video, I've stopped saying it and decided to wrap it up with just an eye catch. Now then, it has a really strong presence. I can see the apartment building now. It really stands out and catches your eye, different from the others. This is the one I'll be featuring this time.
It's Evergreen Kawato Ebare.
The Ebare sign has come into view. There are two entrances to Ebare. You can enter either by turning right or by going straight ahead. This time I'll go straight ahead. As I walk, I'm captivated by the design of the apartment building. The entrance to Everare has appeared. You can really feel the era. The gate, painted green, is all worn out, and the main color being brown gives it a very traditional Japanese feel, which is nice. It might sound bad to say it looks like something from the bubble era, but there's no unnecessary extravagance or showiness. With this kind of appearance, you might think it's probably not that impressive or something. Since part of the apartment building is a commercial facility, you might think it's ridiculously cramped or something. If you assume it's a facility only used by the residents of the apartment, you'll be surprised. Now you might be curious about the inside of the commercial facility, but first let me tell you about the large apartment complex, Evergreen Kawa. Evergreen Kawa is an apartment complex that was built in stages from 1975 to 1977. There are buildings 1 through 4, making a total of 1,464 units in this large apartment complex. As I mentioned earlier, since it was a vast area that used to be the site of a jewelry factory, that's why it's so huge. That's why this massive apartment complex was built, making it quite bold for that era. It's fun to see so many uniquely designed buildings, isn't it? Not that there's anything wrong with today, but these are designs you just wouldn't see in the modern era, where convenience is the top priority. At the entrance of the apartment, there was a map that seems to be from the time it was first built. It really gives you a sense of the era. I don't think we should use the word emotional so casually, but this really is emotional. I didn't notice it during filming, but there's also a tennis court. Looking at the aerial photos, it seems like it's still there. It's a bit of a walk from the station, but there's a bus stop right in front of the apartment building. Buses heading toward Osaka station run about 5 times an hour during the day, so I think it's very convenient. Now, if you walk a little, you can see the apartment complexes from the riverbank of the first-class river. From the riverbank, you can see the high-rise buildings of Umeda, which is the downtown area of Osaka City. The apartments face south both front and back, so except for the lower floors, you can probably see the river from any room. Sometimes while taking a walk, I sunbathe on the riverbank, so I know how beautiful the river view is, and I envy it. The night view is also beautiful, so everyone please be sure to check it out. Honestly, it's better from here. But honestly, it's prettier from around Tsukamoto or Nishinakajima Minamigata. Getting back to the apartment talk, to get the best shot and enjoy the open river view. So it's facing south front and back, and it's zigzagged, right? That's awesome. From a disaster prevention perspective, it seems a bit dangerous. If there's a fire, even if you go out onto the balcony, you'd have to run in a zigzag to evacuate. Only a zigzagoon would be happy about that. The apartment building is old and has been extended, and the number of storage batteries has increased. You can buy an 80 square meter room for a little over 20 million yen. I saw the surrounding area when I was walking earlier. In addition to life in a lion, there are also public facilities like libraries nearby. I don't think you'll regret living here. Being able to look at the river view 24 hours a day is simply wonderful. It's also appealing that you can go for a walk anytime you want. Now, even though it's been around for quite a while, it's still very convenient. Everale is located in the semi-basement of Evergreen River. Everale opened in November 1978. The construction of the apartment was the slowest. Even in building number 4, it was 1977, so I guess Everale opened a little later. There is a sign introducing the tenants, but the tenant lineup is far from what you would call a commercial facility. Things like a table tennis club and a jiu-jitsu academy. Since there are many tenants that people visit regularly, it may sound harsh, but it's being used more like a multi-tenant building. Tenants that people need to visit also have the effect of encouraging them to shop at stores within the facility while they're there. This was probably an entrance in the past, but now it's closed off. It's probably been closed off for much longer than just 10 years. Now let's go inside. If you go down the stairs, you'll find a traditional coffee shop called Kissaten American. It's currently the only restaurant in Everale. I couldn't really film inside the shop up close, but it had a great atmosphere and was really nice. When you go inside, there aren't many people or tenants, so it feels a bit lifeless and dim. But maybe that's just because the walls and floors are brown and the lighting is dim. If those things were different, the impression might change. Still, on the right side, there's a place that's combined with a cafe. The tenant table tennis club has a lot of people. On the other hand, the left side is almost completely empty of shops. There are also areas that are off limits. For some reason, there are no off-limits cones on the other side, only one side is off-limits. The supermarket sadly closed down in 2021. Since then, it's been running kind of unofficially. A supermarket called Nico, which still has a total of 7 stores in the Kansai area, had been operating here for a long time. I'm walking right here now. The supermarket used to be on the left side. Now, the place is occupied by a company's warehouse and a school called Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And surprisingly, there's an open atrium. It's amazing to have such an open space in a Fanchika facility. Thank you, this is awesome. This area is called the Central Plaza. I couldn't film it properly because people were sitting there, but there's an event stage set up. It's hard to believe from how things look now, but actually, it seems that celebrities used to come here for events in the past. There aren't any stores around the Central Plaza at all. Some places were just left vacant. They're filled with vending machines, tons of capsule toy machines, and claw machines. Vending machines aside, I wonder if anyone actually uses the claw machines or capsule toy machines here. Here's the floor map. There are still some places I haven't been to yet, so I'll go check them out. Around here, there are bicycle shops, car dealerships, day service centers, and liquor stores. There weren't many people inside, and there were some vacant tenants, but the shops that are there now seem to be loved by the locals, so it doesn't look like they'll be closing anytime soon. I thought I had seen everything, but there was still something in the back of the Central Plaza. It's not a regular passageway. It clearly looks like there used to be a store there. Since it's not off limits, let's go further inside. Japanese dolls and kimonos are beautifully displayed. I wonder if this used to be a store. Not yet, there's more in the back, and on the right side there's a company office. There's no one, not a single person. It feels strange, like I'm walking through ruins. None of the stores are open. The lights are technically on, but most of the bulbs are out. This is the place that the locals say looks like a haunted house. The signs and names of the closed shops are still left as they were. Apparently this used to be a restaurant district. It's kinda scary that the doors are slightly open. It seems that if you go underground from the closed doors on the surface, it leads to this restaurant district. Now then, let me show you the floor map one more time. This restaurant district and the area where the dolls were displayed earlier are completely connected. They've been erased from the map, and the place where the dolls were displayed is connected to the restroom. Maybe that's why. The passageway is marked on the map, though. The entire restaurant area, including the passageway, has been erased. If that's the case, it's a mystery why the lights are still on and why it's not off limits. The exit from the restaurant area to the surface is blocked off. Because of that, it's become one way, and since no one has any reason to go there, nobody does. Why are there dolls and kimonos on display even though it's not a shop? Maybe some company is using it as a storage space, but since they're on display, that doesn't really make sense either. I know it's rude to say this about an active commercial facility, but it's kinda creepy in various ways. Many of the closed tenants still had their shutters down, but their signs and such were often left as they were. Normally, when a store closes, the signs are usually taken down, so I thought it was a rare sight as I walked around. So I tried looking up every store that still had its sign left, but I couldn't find any information online at all. I think they might have closed down before the internet became widespread. If that's the case, they might have already closed in the early 1990s. It's quite unusual for a place to be left like this for so long without a new tenant moving in. When it first opened, Jusco, the predecessor of Aeon, was the main tenant. And what's more, most of the facility was made up of Jusco's supermarket and specialty stores. After that, for the next 10 years until 1987, Jusco continued operating but then withdrew. Was it because the contract period was 10 years and they decided to withdraw at the time of renewal? Even so, pulling out right in the middle of the bubble economy seems like a pretty big deal. Even after Jusco withdrew, since it was right in the middle of the bubble economy and Japan was booming, and because the Evergreen River area had many residents in age groups with high purchasing power for about 10 years, it seems that the tenants were filled relatively quickly. A supermarket also moved in as a successor tenant. From what I heard, it seems that the supermarket that took over after Jusco withdrew in a way that was almost like a midnight escape. There are two entrances to Everale, but one of them is faintly visible. You can see the words Discount Super Alpha here. This is the supermarket that was there before Nico. Built in 2013, it's a place where local residents gather. On a thread on 2channel, there was talk about Alpha going out of business. There was a post saying that even right before going out of business, they were still issuing shopping vouchers. It seems that this sudden closure, which happened almost like they were running away, was definitely at this Alpha supermarket. And if we believe this post, it looks like the sudden closure happened because they went bankrupt. There's so little information about this commercial facility that I feel like I've become a commentary YouTuber. Since I often got information from local message boards and such, I even registered on Mixi. I feel like I spent the most time researching this so far, but it was also the most interesting to look into. The inside of the store was full of Japanese atmosphere, and I was happy because it felt like I had slipped back in time. Well, as expected, the further back I went, the darker and scarier it got. After Jusco, which was the main tenant, withdrew in 1987, even though the other tenants filled the space, the withdrawal of Jusco itself the impact was just too big, and I think it lost its momentum after that. There were home improvement stores and furniture shops. NAFCO opened and brought back some excitement, but by the 2000s, even NAFCO closed down. I started seeing posts here and there on online forums saying that Evergreen was declining. After that, the number of stores kept decreasing, and that's how things are now. I didn't notice it when I visited, but the parking guide sign has the names Alpha and NAFCO on it. It's integrated with the apartment building. Since it's a commercial facility, it's not something that can be easily shut down, right? But I'm really impressed that it's still being operated up to now. Also, having a well-equipped table tennis school inside is definitely a strong point. Since the surrounding area is a residential neighborhood, having tenants like this is essential, isn't it? Now that it's come this far, I hope it will continue to have a lasting impact in the future. When I see old commercial facilities working hard, it makes me feel like I want to do my best too, or something like that. Next, let's talk about why Everale ended up closing down and turning into an apartment building. Since it's an integrated facility, I think there are some unavoidable aspects, but the parking lot is just too hard to find. As you can tell from the fact that there used to be a Jusco and the inside is spacious, it's not just a small place meant only for the local residents. It wasn't a commercial facility, but since it's far from the station, it's expected that people other than local residents would come by car. You have to take a really roundabout route to get to Evergreen's parking lot. It's hard to figure out the first time, and even if it's not your first time, it just feels like a hassle to go there. It's tough. Nico closed down while I was on my way from Awaji Station. It opened in the middle of that. The influence of Laifu was significant. Laifu is more well known and it's closer to the station, so it seems that many people who used to go to Nico felt there was no longer any need to go out of their way. Also, there are traces of select shop tenants inside the building, and in the past you could finish all your shopping just at Evergreen. Each town used to have its own strength, but in recent years everything has become concentrated in the city center. Since you can get to Umeda in about 10 minutes from here, I think one reason people stopped shopping here is that there's no longer a need to do so. By the way, there used to be an Odeon inside Evergreen, but it closed in 2016. It was operating in the same building as Life. The Higashiawaji store was relocated from the Suita store and moved into Evergreen. Erion is a local electronics store, a small franchise shop known as a family electronics shop. In recent years, these small stores have been decreasing, so it's no surprise that they're closing down. The Higashiawaji store closed down soon after it opened. Even on the map in Erion's materials announcing the move from the Mizuta store to the Higashiawaji store, the shop inside Evergreen isn't listed. Well, that's just how it is. A small store is a small store. I guess they just separate and categorize them that way. Compared to other commercial facilities integrated with condominiums, it's quite spacious, but there is a central plaza. It was set up there and celebrities would come. That's something you can't even imagine nowadays. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Those were good times. I really wish I could time travel. Normally, I wouldn't refer to online forums, but in this case, I just can't help it. There just isn't enough information, so I decided to rely on them if there's anything not covered in the video, any information at all. If you have any information or notice any mistakes in what I've introduced, please let me know in the comments. The more I research, the more interesting it gets. Since it was a commercial facility, there's still so much more. I'm really eager to learn more. So that's it for this video. I'll see you again in the next one. Let's meet again. Thank you for watching.